So, for the longest time, I and many other people were under the impression that Sega wasn't really at war with Nintendo anymore. I mean, Sonic, plus more recently Joker and Bayonetta, have been added to the Smash series, the existence of the Olympic Game series, Sega's lack of console creation as of recent years, as well as the fact that a good portion of Sega games are playable on the Nintendo consoles, all point to a lack of competition between the two companies. However, Sega recently opened up its first physical merchandise store as of May 1st. And with its second store location, I'm wondering if the Nintendo Sega rivalry is as dead as we think. So, without further ado, here's everything we know about the Sega stores. And what does this mean for the Nintendo Sega rivalry? Let's get into it. So, I will say that I was just as surprised as everyone else was that the first ever Sega store was not only not based in Tokyo, but not in Japan whatsoever. Instead, it's based in the Balian ZX Strongju Plaza within Shanghai, China. Now, I think there are two reasons for this. Number one, Sega actually has a decently big following within China. Despite the digital feud between Sonic Frontiers and Genshin Impact fans during the 2022 Game Awards, there are still plenty of people in China that love Sega. The second reason is that I think Sega wanted to be sure their shop would do well before going for Nintendo's jugular. And I'm saying that because one of the three Nintendo shops located in Japan is right here in the Shibuya Parko department complex. And that's exactly where the new Sega Store is going to be in Tokyo. Seriously, how is this not a competitive move on Sega's part? Not only that, but take a look at this quote from Sega Transmedia boss Justin Scarpone. Quote, "My sights are set on trying to compete with the best of the Hollywood studios when it comes to managing IP, because I think if we strive to reach that level of excellence, we should do pretty well." End quote. Now, I don't know if he means Hollywood Studios the park, Hollywood in general, or just what Hollywood has done with the Sonic movies. This is the rest of the article. If you want, you can try and decipher it yourself and leave your findings in the comments. But regardless of what he meant, he has some high hopes for Sega in terms of merchandise and profit, far beyond what their reach is at the moment. But with all that said, what will actually be in these stores? Well, I'm glad you asked. Of course, Sega's mascot, the Blue Blur, will be front and center, with plenty of plushies, t-shirts, collectibles, and camera spots to make the shopping experience memorable. However, while Sonic is Sega's biggest seller, it isn't their only series. Persona, Like a Dragon, and Sakura Wars are all hinted at within this store. And of course, any other Sega-owned game you can think of will probably have at least one piece of merchandise in there. So what does this mean for Sega? Obviously, they're in a decent enough place financially that they're able to put money into a physical store like this. Most of which is thanks to the Sonic movies, I'd say, which have undoubtedly made Sega more relevant than it has been in a while. Also, I think these stores will make other games made by Sega more prominent than they already are. I mean, sure, Persona and Bayonetta are already pretty popular, but by gamers. Meanwhile, just the average person probably knows who Sonic the Hedgehog is. Much like people know who Mario or maybe even Zelda is. Additionally, something we shouldn't forget about is the fact that Sega is also a toy company. Sega Fave Corporation, formerly known as Sega Toys, has been around since 1991, which, even before that, was a toy company called Yonezawa Toys that was just absorbed into Sega's company. Obviously, it's a toy company, as well as an arcade company, by the way. So, making all the things for these stores won't be too difficult for them. Now, I do want to mention that sometimes stuff Sega has sold is created in China or Korea, but still, they do make stuff in-house quite a bit. Now finally, is this a move by Sega to outdo Nintendo? Maybe not. I mean, it makes sense regardless. A lot of Sega and Nintendo games are on the same child-friendly basis, so to put the stores within the same vicinity makes sense. But on the other hand, the last time Sega ever pulled anything like this was back when they were making their own consoles, and I would hardly call that being in cahoots with Nintendo. Personally, what I think is happening is that Sega is finally gaining back the confidence it had in the 90s. They see that the trends are flowing in their favor, and are doing their best to capitalize on their brand in general with the help of Sonic. It's smart. People like to show off what they love, so making an official store you can go to and experience while getting your favorite character plushie, shirt, etc. is a no-brainer. Nintendo is doing just that, so Sega has every right to do it as well. And as a little side note, I think it's interesting that Sega and Nintendo aren't doing their Olympic Games series anymore. Now, it wasn't their fault, mind you. The International Olympic Committee ended their contract with the two game companies. But I still think it's funny that now, when the partnership is pretty much over, Sega is pulling a move like this. The only way to make things more interesting than they are now is if Sega comes out with a new console. But I honestly don't see the financial gain from that for them. Consoles are costly to make in the first place. And most Sega games have thrived on the fact that you can not only play them on multiple consoles, but on the PC as well now. And while Sega has a few good partnerships, such as Roblox and Angry Birds, I'm not sure if those would be enough to warrant their own console line again. It could happen, and if it does, we'll know for sure that the Nintendo-Sega rivalry is back on. But until then, things are gonna stay a bit more gray. Or maybe purple, because Nintendo is red and Sega is blue. I don't know. Anyway, what do you guys think of all this? Are you excited about the new Sega stores? And do you think that Sega is starting to go against Nintendo again? Leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you like this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!